Hey girlfriend, welcome back to the show. Today I'm talking about something that can feel really scary and it can feel very confusing. We're going to talk about extreme hunger, friend. And if you're listening to this because you are experiencing extreme hunger right now, then I want you to listen carefully. I want you to take a deep breath and I want you to hear a special truth. You're not broken. You're probably not binging. And what you're experiencing is not only normal, but very necessary. If you are new to what extreme hunger is, or maybe you don't have an appetite at all because you've had years of disordered eating behaviors where you've suppressed your appetite, I still feel like this episode is going to help support your journey forward. Because there is a day where you might experience this onset of just hunger at the next level, and that can be really scary. So I invite you to listen to today's episode. Here we go, sis. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsay Nickel, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you. Because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess, trapped in the destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it. So you can start living your best life as your best self. Hey beautiful, today we're talking about extreme hunger. I met with one of my clients last week and her and I were talking about this concept of how hungry she was. And there were days where we'd had prior discussions where she was like, I'm just not hungry, Lindsay. Like, how do I eat when I'm not hungry? And that is a whole separate topic, which I have done shows around that topic. But for today's show, I wanted to address the current topic that she was going through because I do feel like this conversation helped her and it can help you too. If you are experiencing this bouts of really, really dynamic hunger. And what her and I were talking about was that she is hungry all the time right now. And she said, I'm eating and I'm doing the thing, but I can't seem to get satisfied or I can't seem to feel some satisfaction. She's scared of binging because this is something that she would do in her cycle, right? Like binge and purge and restrict and binge and overexercise and restrict. And she said she's terrified of blowing up. What's going on with her because she feels like she's finally doing the right steps, but yet she's now hungrier, and that is really scary for her, and it's very triggering. And friend, my first response is nothing is wrong with you, nothing at all. And what I told her is that extreme hunger is your body's way of healing. The sad but scary truth is we just have to honor it. We have to honor it. Honoring it is one of the bravest things that you're going to ever do in this journey. And I'm going to be really honest with you today about my own experience with this because I remember the shame that I felt when hunger would hit me like a wave. I questioned every single hunger cue. I felt guilty for wanting food, and then I felt guilty for being mad at myself that I was hungry and mad at my body. And I thought there was something wrong with me for feeling hungry. And I had to get past that shame in order to truly recover. So I want us to dive in today because you deserve to understand what's happening in your body and you deserve to navigate this without fear driving you. So I want to talk about what extreme hunger actually is. Okay, extreme hunger is your body's natural, intelligent response to any period of restriction or inadequate nourishment. That's it. And here's what's so important to understand. This can happen at any stage of recovery. It can happen at any stage. You might experience it super early on when you start introducing more foods into your diet, or you might experience it like my client years after she started down this road when her body finally decided that it needed more healing. There are different types of hunger that you might experience during this process. Okay, so we're going to talk about those today. The first is mechanical hunger. That's this physical growling, kind of like gnawing sensation in your stomach. Your stomach feels like this bottomless pit that you just cannot get full. That is a mechanical hunger. A mental hunger is when your brain is obsessing about food constantly, when you cannot concentrate on anything except eating, and when you're having these intense cravings for specific foods. And then reactive eating or reactive hunger, this is when you're finding yourself eating large amounts quickly, especially foods that you might have previously restricted or you feared. And then there's what I call primal hunger. It's that almost like desperate, innate in us, urgent need to eat that feels impossible to ignore. I was explaining it to a client today, actually. We were talking about this, and I said it's that hunger that you felt like when you were pregnant. In 1 second, you're not hungry at all. And then the next second, if you don't get something, it feels like you are going to pass out. And here's how hunger might actually look in your day-to-day life. If you're eating a meal and then you're immediately hungry again, okay? Or you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're hungry, or you're having more snacks than you used to, or you're hungry while you're eating and then you're not satisfied when you're finished eating. And so when we think about extreme hunger, your body is really craving dense foods, okay? Maybe that's nuts or nut butters, or it's things that your disordered thoughts in your mind are labeling as bad. And when we feel like we're not allowed to have something, we go down that slippery slope of the scarcity mindset. And when we get this extreme hunger, this almost desperate, urgent need to eat like anything in sight, it feels like we are out of control. And again, the disordered version of ourselves loves that control, so it feels wrong. But what I want you to know today and understand is that you're not wrong, you're normal. Your body knows exactly what it's doing. And I'm not saying that that feels good. I'm just sharing with you, like, there is nothing bad about this process. So we have to dissect why this happens. Let me explain what's going on in your wonderfully beautiful, wise body right now if you're dealing with extreme hunger. When you've restricted food, and this includes dieting, this includes eating disorder behaviors, or simply not eating enough for your body's individual needs, your metabolism changes and it wants to conserve energy. Your body thinks it's in a famine situation. It's starving, right? You're literally starving. And so during recovery, your body has multiple jobs to do all at once. It's trying to speed up your metabolism back to normal levels, which requires extra energy. It's trying to repair damage to anything that's going on in your organs or your bones or your hair or your skin. It's trying to replenish energy reserves. And most importantly, like, it's really trying to learn to trust that food is going to be consistently available. Because research shows that people recovering from any sort of starvation, and yes, eating disorders involve starvation, even if you're not underweight or you weren't classified as underweight, often individuals need significantly more energy than what we might consider normal for an extended period of time. And so here's the thing that might actually surprise you. Extreme hunger doesn't always happen right away in recovery. So you might think, okay, as soon as I start eating more, I'm going to get extremely hungry. You might not be hungry at all. Sometimes for months or a year, or sometimes it shows up years later when your body feels safe enough to ask for what it really needs. And that's the bottom line. Sis, your body is incredibly intelligent and you're not going to out-trick it. And it waits until it trusts you enough to express its true needs. Let me debunk some myths that might just be causing you some fear, because I know some of these misconceptions are going to keep you stuck. Okay, so I do want to get to like the real raw truth and the fear that's going on. Myth number one is that everyone experiences extreme hunger in recovery. This is not true. Not everybody does, and that's okay too. But everybody is different and everybody has different needs. And if you experience this extreme hunger that I'm talking about today, you're not wrong for experiencing it. Okay, so the first thing we have to put down is the shame and the feeling attached with being hungry. And identify and ask yourself, like, why am I upset that I'm hungry? Am I upset that my body needs air in my lungs? Like, this is a necessity. Why am I upset or judging hunger? That's actually a great thing. It's a sign that my body needs what I'm about to give it because it's operating in what I call recovery mode. And that just means like it needs it. Give it all the things. And I know that's triggering, but the truth is not everyone experiences this. You may not. I did. And for a really long time, I shamed myself. I wasn't allowed to be hungry. Like, that was not okay. This is us trying to control and keep in a box, maintain our weight or not gain weight or whatever. And so I want you to ask yourself, is it wrong that I'm holding myself to the standard of not allowing myself to feel hunger? Like, what is wrong with an innate need that my body is telling me when it tells me that I'm hungry? Here's the second myth. Extreme hunger is wrong or bad. Okay. And that's what we were basically just talking about. But what I want to dissect here for you is that this is your body's wisdom in action. It's healing. It's not harmful. It's like when you get your period back, or when you notice that your hair is shinier, or when you notice that like you have this glow about you again. This is just nourishment that your body needs so that it can do life. Okay, so it's not wrong. It's not bad. It's your body's wisdom in action. Here's myth number 3. That extreme hunger means you're binging. And this goes back to what my client and I were talking about. This is a big one. Extreme hunger is biological necessity that is driven by your body's needs. It's not the same as binge eating, which is often driven by restriction and psychological factors. And we don't need to go into all of that today. But when you're in recovery, your body genuinely needs large amounts of food to heal. And sometimes we think when we're in that, oh, if I eat anything, if I look at a piece of bread, I'm going to blow up. Or it can feel like binging to you because you're so used to eating small amounts of food. But extreme hunger does not mean you're binging. Okay, it means that you are allowing your body to tell you what it needs and you're honoring that with action. Here's myth number 4. If you honor extreme hunger, you're going to blow up and you're going to gain a bunch of weight. Here is the truth. Your body is going to settle at its natural point when it feels nourished and it can trust you. That's it. And when we keep messing with those dynamics, when we feed our body, then we restrict our body, then we overexercise, then we try to rest, then we feed it again, then we restrict it again, guess what? We're not creating a trusting environment. I remember thinking all of these things when I was experiencing this wave of extreme hunger, and I felt so much shame about wanting food, and I questioned every single hunger cue. I was literally terrified of what would happen if I actually honored what my body was asking for. Would my body stop asking me for more and more, or would it just continue to want more and more? And that was my fear. But here's what I learned. My body knew what it needed. And friend, your body knows what it needs. And when I finally got out of its own way, it guided me to exactly where I needed to be. And my hunger started diminishing. And I don't mean like my hunger went away, but it started having normal patterns of hunger. But it needed to feel like it could trust that it wasn't going to go through another famine. So how do we navigate this? Because I know that's really what you're wanting, right? Here are some strategies that actually work. Number 1, first and most importantly, honor your hunger. I cannot say this enough. And I know that if I was sitting next to you, you would want to smack me. But the reality is, it's important to eat when you're hungry, as much as you're hungry, for whatever you're hungry for. Again, I kind of think about it like when I was pregnant. I wasn't restricting. If my body was like, you need mac and cheese today, I'm like, yes, I need mac and cheese today. If my body was like, oh, the baby wants a bagel, yes, the baby wants a bagel. It's that kind of level of love. I know it feels scary, but it's not your job to judge. It's your job to honor. So your body is simply trying to trust that food is available before it's going to stop. And so if you keep easy and satisfying foods around you that are kind of your go-tos, this is what I did in recovery, we're not going to set these arbitrary limits on portions or frequency, or I have to wait an hour until I can have that. When you notice you're hungry, I want you to allow yourself to honor it. This means nothing about you. You're not breaking a rule. You're breaking an eating disorder rule. And we know that she's crazy and we're not going to listen to her anymore. Secondly, challenge her. Challenge the voice. When your eating disorder says this is too much food, or you're being really greedy, you don't need all that. I don't really think that's a normal portion, or you've had too much already, or there's a rule that comes up, you're going to blow up, whatever it is. I want you to remind yourself, my body is healing. This is temporary. My body knows what it needs. This is temporary. Practice saying, this hunger is my body healing. Honoring my hunger is my job right now. It's not to restrict my food. My job right now is to honor my hunger. Third, we're not going to compensate. No compensating. That means we're not going to overexercise or skip meals the next day. We're not going to return to those patterns and behaviors. You're not eating too much. You're eating what your body needs. I want us to get rid of that. Like, this is too much. This is not enough. We're eating what our body needs. And this also goes to maybe you're not feeling hungry right now. Honoring your body by feeding it regularly, regardless of feeling hungry, is only going to help you thrive over time. When I have a new client and they come into my space and they go, Lindsay, like, I can try this, but I'm not hungry. We can't expect to be hungry when we haven't given our body a safe zone to eat. The permission has not been granted. So your job is to grant the permission. Next, I want you to include different foods. Okay, so honestly, our body is often craving different foods for different reasons. If you're tending to want to go to certain things, your body is needing those things, and we're not going to judge ourselves for it. I know that it can be scary to incorporate fats. For me, it was peanut butter. It can be scary to start eating more carbs if you have restricted those. But all of these, including proteins, are all going to serve important functions in the recovery journey. And so we're not going to try to fill extreme hunger with salads and vegetables by themselves. Like, we have to get to a point where we are honoring, because our body is not going to be satisfied with that. It's going to continuously up the ante and go, she's trying to trick me. So we're honoring and we're including all different types of foods. And we can do this in a way that is scalable and is not going to create a freak out zone. And that is what I do with my one-on-one clients, right? I work with you to help you challenge yourself and hold yourself accountable so that you can live your most healthiest version of yourself. But we have to start incorporating some of these things. Another one that is really important is it's imperative to practice self-compassion. This is remembering your why. Like, why is recovery important to me? I want you to focus on the non-food goals. Like, I want a better relationship with my husband or my spouse. I want to be a better present mom for my kids. I want to be a better colleague at work. I want to have some more mental clarity and energy. I'm exhausted all the time. And then thank our bodies for this wisdom. Because as we shut the door on hunger, when we're hungry and we say no, we're not allowing it, we are fighting against it. I want you to practice self-compassion instead. And here's a big one: dealing with other people who do not understand this process. So you might have a couple family members or friends who comment on how much you're eating or when you're eating, or do you really need to eat every hour? I remember one of my best friends, bless her heart, in my recovery, she would say, oh my gosh, Lindsay, like, you just eat. And as if that is not triggering, I don't know what is. However, we got through it. I want you to remember that these people don't understand. They're not on the same playing field as you. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for nourishing yourself. You don't. You are making up for lost time. So you can say things like, my body knows what it needs right now, or I'm following my treatment team's guidance, or I'm doing this to get in a better place with my health. This is all part of the process. When you speak those things out loud, not only are you standing in your truth and setting boundaries towards other people, but you are practicing some level of empowerment to yourself that is going to equate to moving mountains, because you are using your voice. I cannot say this enough, and I say it with all of my clients. You are starting to use your voice. Like, how does it feel to finally use your voice? Finally, remember that extreme hunger is temporary. It doesn't last forever, sis. As your body heals and it trusts that food is available, your hunger cues, they will normalize. Now, this could take weeks, it could take months, it could take longer, depending how long you've restricted your food and your body, but it will normalize. I cannot say this enough. We're not going to just continue to get hungrier and hungrier. That's not the way the human body was built, okay? It doesn't last forever. You're going to know that your hunger is beginning to normalize when these cues inside of you become more predictable. When these thoughts around food and whether or not you can have something become less obsessive. And when you start naturally desiring things, physical hunger will start to match that mental satisfaction. Here's the real. Your body is so smart, so it's important to start trusting it even when it feels scary and like it's the last thing you want to do. You know, as I was preparing for this episode, I kept thinking about how isolating this experience can be. and how scary it can be to go through extreme hunger without people around you who know that it is normal and it is completely necessary. And that is the brilliance of working with somebody who's been there and done that. Right now, I'm taking a few additional clients. I would love to meet you, friend. I would love to work alongside you as you navigate this. Please come on out to herbestself.co. You can find more information. You can fill out a client application there, and the Recovery Collective. Navigating things like extreme hunger is so much easier when you're not navigating them alone. This is where all women in all phases of recovery come together every other week to normalize experiences like extreme hunger, and we support each other along the way. So I just want you to think about, are one of those supportive areas what I need to do next? It's important to have a safe space where you can share something like, I'm experiencing extreme hunger, and you don't have to feel judged for that. I want you to think about what your next step is going to be from today's episode. If you're feeling alone or you're feeling like no one understands you, it's not time to start questioning your body. It's time to start thinking about what you can do for your body. The Recovery Collective might be what you can do for your body, because getting in a room with other women might be what you need. What I want you to gain from today's show is that your hunger is not your enemy. And your body is not trying to trick you, friend. It's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to manipulate you. So when extreme hunger shows up, it's your body simply saying, hey, I trust you enough now to ask you for what I really want. Honor the trust. Honor the hunger. Honor that incredibly wise body of yours that was fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's working so hard to heal, because you deserve to have energy and you deserve to live a life free from this. It's progress over perfection every day of the week. Speaking of weeks, I will see you next week on the podcast. Until then, be gentle with yourself, friend. I love you, girl. Oh, friend, thank you so much for letting me share what was on my heart today. My hope for this podcast is to help more women find freedom from food and body. If this has empowered or blessed you, let me know. I'd be honored for your rating and review of my show, and I'd love to connect with you in my private Facebook community. You really can move from perfection to purpose. Let's break the chains together. I'll help navigate the way. Until next time, bye for now, girl.